Hi there, Pastor Josh here. One of the well-known invitations of Jesus is to come to him. In Matthew 11, verses 28 to 30, he invites people to come. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Now, that describes so many of us today. Weary and burdened. We're worn out from this pandemic, from working from home, from being busy, from not seeing people. We have Zoom fatigue, taking care of our kids in different ways, dealing with shopping in different ways and getting our needs in different ways. Jesus invites us to come to him when we are weary and burdened, and promises he will give us rest. But that's the invitation, is that we have to come to him before he will give us rest. I think many of us are tempted still to live in our own strength, to say, no, I got this. I can handle this. And we focus on doing just our task lists and forget that Jesus really should be the priority in our lives. And when he is, he will give us the strength and the energy and the rest and the grace for all our other tasks. We forget that he is the omnipotent, all-powerful God who can do anything. And we say, nah, it's okay, Jesus, I got this instead. And we don't consciously say that, of course. We don't think about him at all. I think the other temptation, especially for those who are busy, is to say, here, Jesus, take my burdens, and to give it to him, and then just to keep focusing on the tasks that we have, our work schedules, or what we have to do. But again, that's not us coming to Jesus. It's us trying to give him our burdens. But he actually doesn't promise to take our burdens. Here's what he says. So come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So here's the promise that Jesus is making, not to take away our burdens, but to help us in the midst of our burdens. So a yoke was a common farming tool where you would take your ox and you would put on a wooden structure, probably some leather bits and maybe some metal bits, and it would pull a plow behind you, or it would pull a cart, or whatever you wanted it to pull. But the yoke was the thing that hooked it up to the animal. And sometimes there were two. If you had an especially big load or an especially big plow, you would have two animals hooked up. And the yoke was one structure with two animals hooked together onto it. And their strength together, by their strength together, they would be able to pull multiple times that of what one of them would be able to pull on their own. In the image here, Jesus is saying, look, I'm yoked. Now take my yoke upon you. So join me in my yoke, and I will give you rest. He says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And so Jesus promises to come alongside us and to pull with us. And the yoke itself, he says, is easy. It's not restrictive. It's not hard. It's not difficult. And his burden, whatever he was pulling behind him already, that we join our burden to, he says, is light. And again, here's the thing. He is the all-powerful one. And so any burden for him is no burden at all. It is light. And he promises that as we join our burden to him, he comes alongside us and helps us. But again, here's the thing. There's that invitation to come, that we have to come to him which means we have to intentionally take that time to come before him through prayer, through, I would say prayer mostly, but also through other spiritual practices, and say, Jesus, come alongside me and help. Jesus, take my burden and give me rest. And then instead of absolving you of that burden, he helps you in the midst of that burden. And I think he does it through giving wisdom. He does it through giving strength, again, through grace, through energy, and through rest. And here's the thing. Jesus wants to help you in your burden. He's inviting. He's a gentleman. He won't take it from you. He won't force you to take his yoke upon you. But the promise is when we do, when we answer his invitation, when we come to him, and when we take his yoke on us, then we will receive his rest. We will receive his help for our burdens. He cares about us. He cares about the things that weigh us down and our stresses and our burdens. So I hope that today, this week, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling frustrated and stressed out, that you would take the time to come to Jesus. And it will be worth it, because then he will shoulder your burden with you. And I don't know about you, but having the God of gods and the most powerful being in the universe, so omnipotent, the all-powerful being in the universe, carrying my burden, wow, what an amazing promise from Jesus. Well, that's it from me for today. God bless, and I'll see you soon.